This is Silph Radio, a Pokemon-centered podcast, and my name is Nathan Capisser. I will be your charismatic, charming, and well-spokenish, kinda, for the most part, dude, host guy. Every episode, we look at a different aspect of the Pokemon universe from a humorous but serious. We take it too seriously, and we don't take it seriously enough. It's like, we strive for that perfect balance of taking everything too seriously and not nearly seriously enough. A lot of bad words, a lot of inappropriate jokes, so it's not for the kids. We try to keep it in good taste, though. Today, we've got one of my favorite episodes that we've recorded to date. I mean, really, I feel that way about every episode. Every time we record one, I'm like, oh, this is my new favorite episode. Like, it's all so good. But this episode, man, I had a lot of fun recording it, and man, I had a lot of fun editing it, and I really think that you guys are going to have a lot of fun listening to it. This is something different from anything we've done before. Well, it's not. It's kind of what we do on every single episode, but boiled down to this essential. Today, we're getting down to brass tacks. If you read the title, you know what this episode is. The science and politics of Pokemon battling. What does that mean? Well, there's so many questions. I mean, what is Pokemon battling in this culture that surrounds it? Who makes the rules, and what's the league's role in all of this? How come we can only have 6 Pokemon, and how come those Pokemon only know 4 moves? What are TMs and HMs? How do they work? How the hell does the move deleter work? Why can't you trade Pokemon with HM moves? Of course, we're not speaking in the game. All of this could easily be answered with a quick trip to Bulbapedia if you want to know why it's like that in the game. Why can't you trade a Pokemon with HM moves? Because it would make a broken game. We're talking, of course, in this actual Pokemon universe. The story, the universe that this game is trying to convey. As I said, we take things way too seriously here, and we get really all up into this fucking shit. What is the deal with all these questions? Well, to help me figure it out, I sat down a panel of two separate conversations. First was me, and returning for the first time since episode number fucking 001, the Bulbasaur episode, my great fucking friend, Mr. Phil Cobb. So happy to have him back on the podcast. Finally, it took a lot of begging and a lot of pleading, a lot of coercion, but I got him to do it. I got him to sit back down in front of that mic and do another episode with me. And I hope that our listeners will reach out and let Phil know how much they like hearing him on this podcast. And maybe we'll get to hear from him more, because god damn do I love this episode that we got out of it. Not only is Phil here with us, but also we've got a newcomer to the podcast. First time you're hearing his voice ever. We did actually record an episode a long time ago. That never hit the internet. You know, keep listening, Secret Room Multimedia. Maybe we'll slip it out there someday. But joining us is Phil's older brother, John. Another very good friend of mine. I've known these two since high school. I met them because I saw John sitting next to me in art class where we were seated freshman year of high school. This was 1999. And John was drawing an Eevee. And I was like, is that an Eevee? I knew it was a fucking Eevee. And lo and behold, 2 friendships came out of that. And a whole slew of awesome podcasts. Hopefully. After that, me and podcast regular Craig Lewis, you know him, we all know him. He's been on more Silph Radio episodes than anybody else. And I do 2 totally other podcasts with him, Fairpoint Podcast and Fair Enough Podcast. Both worth your time. Please go check them out. Me and him sat down to continue the conversation where me, John, and Phil left off. Now, this is one of the reasons I made this podcast, because I really enjoy having these conversations. We were having these conversations in 7th grade, and we're still having these conversations now as 30-year-old fucking grown adults with children, jobs, and all the like. Pokemon was, in essence, our fucking Star Wars, and I really hope to do more episodes like this. You know, I hope that every episode can have a little bit of this in there. We try to do that with our Pokemon bios. Really get in there and theorize about what their biology's like. What are they like? What's their behavior like? You know, all of that. And this was the first time we're doing it with a more broad idea. The conversation goes all over the map. There's a lot of really funny shit in this. A lot of really deep shit in this. And it gets pretty intense. This is an intense political fucking pot. You don't need to go to Bill O'Reilly or NPR or any of that shit. We got you covered right here. It gets fucking off the hook. So hopefully you guys are really going to enjoy this. I really did myself. And I'm not just saying that, you know, I'd say that about any one of my podcasts. But I'm not just saying that. I love this episode. With that in mind, I'm going to shut the fuck up, back off, and let the episode play out. I'll meet you guys back here at the end to talk about a little bit more. For now, enjoy the podcast.
So a lot of what you're looking at is restriction, like what governing force determines if someone can have more than 6 Pokeballs at once. Does that... How do you go out of the house and have 7? Who arrests you? Who tells you you can't use those? Is it you're not fighting fair, so I'm not going to battle against you? Who governs that?
That's a really good question. I think that question itself brings up a bunch of other questions that we have to answer first before we can even attempt to answer that. So okay, let's start here. We want to answer right now what you just asked. Why can you only carry 6 Pokemon? How can you only carry 6 Pokemon? And for what reason?
Who enforces that? Why are rules imposed upon traveling minors?
So to get there, there's probably a few questions we have to answer. I think the first one maybe is, well, what is a Pokeball?
It's just a capturing device. I mean, you boil it down to its bare essential parts. It's a cage that facilitates traveling.
Yeah, it's a capturing device, but it's a lot more complex than a cage or a snare.
Right, but that's essentially what it is. You take something from its natural environment and you carry it with you. Why is it then that you're dictated that you can only have 6? Why is it that you can't carry 7? Like in the games, in the manga, in everything. Why is 6 that number? I guess that it was established in the game, but why? Why that number? Why not 7 on 7? I get the battles would run a little long, but who's the ruling body that enforces this? Is it just playground rules? I'm not going to play with you because you're not playing fair, and it's fair because I determined it first?
So the ruling body is either, I think we can narrow it down to 2 candidates, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys have a 3rd candidate, a 4th candidate, whatever, throw it at me. It's either the Pokemon League...
Which I have to disqualify because the only people in there are the League and the gym leaders. Nobody else says that they adhere to anything the League says. Nobody else even mentions the League except for out of utmost, I guess you would say, like respect or fear.
But Pokemon battling seems to have a set of rules and regulations with it. Clearly it does with the 6 Pokemon and everything. So there probably is there might be league regulations as far as battling and stuff is concerned.
Yeah, but you're 2 12-year-olds. One of you just left your mom's house, and the other one's a bug catcher hanging out in a forest. Where is league intervention if you bring a 7th Pokemon, or if you murder the other guy's creature? What's it going to go? Snitch on you?
Back to what I was saying. I think we can narrow it down to 2 candidates. And when you said who is the governing party that is responsible for that enforcing that we can only carry 6. So I'm saying the 2 candidates are either the League or science. It may be a limitation of the technology itself. I don't know. That's why That's why I proposed we start with a Pokeball. To me, you said a Pokeball was a trap, a capturing device. Of course it is, but as I said, it's more technologically advanced than a snare or a rope trap or anything. I think what's happening is that they found a way to change Pokemon into data. And that's what the Pokeball is doing. A lot of people think that inside a Pokeball is like, a little Pokemon chilling. Like, that he has a home in there that he chills in.
So you're saying that they've converted the creature's brainwaves, genetic makeup, everything into just data that's stored inside a ball, which is then accessible. And it's re-recorded every time it's put back in.
Yes, I think it
entirely feasible. But then why 6?
You upload them from there to the PC. If you capture one and you have 6, it automatically transfers to the PC.
But why not? If it detects that you have 5 and you catch 2, how does it know which one to put in the Pokeball? How does it know which one to send to the PC? If it's a limitation on physical space and you can only have 6 on you, otherwise they short or interfere or something, where the hell are they stored in the PC? Because you pull them out of whatever Pokeball you caught them in. I mean, you catch a Chansey in an Ultra Ball. When you go to retrieve it, it's still in an Ultra Ball. Clearly, the ball goes with it. So all these balls have to be stored somewhere, not within proximity of 5 other balls.
Here's something, too. Does the ball itself get teleported to the PC? Like, when you catch it? Because let's say you buy 10 Pokeballs, you have the 6 with your team, and you have 10 more that you bought to catch new Pokemon with, and you catch one. If the ball isn't teleported, I mean, transporting the data is easy. The internet exists. That's simple.
Right.
But if the ball isn't teleported itself, the physical ball, then you have this. You either have another empty Pokeball to use, which we know isn't the case, or you'd never run out, or you have a ball that's latched and inaccessible and unused because you know what I mean? So it must just teleport the ball.
Right, but again, what my main thing is coming back to is why can you only have 6? Okay. Why? What is the underlying reason? Who enforces that I can't walk out of the house with a 7th occupied Pokeball?
Yeah, we got that. So do we have a third candidate? I'm proposing that it's either the league regulations, or a technological limitation.
League regulations can be thrown out because the league can't be everywhere at once.
And you're implying that it's physically impossible to carry a 7th Pokemon.
The way that it is presented in all of its forms of existence, it is physically never done, never questioned, never challenged.
Both.
Why?
It's probably league regulations and technological limitations to the extent that, like, maybe it's not necessarily impossible, but the way that the technology is set up, kind of like you have to jailbreak your Pokeballs to, like, carry a 7th one or something. There probably are people. And that boggles my mind then why Team Rocket still only has, like, 2 Pokemon per grunt.
Well, they're crappy trainers, but that's not the point.
Should be jailbreaking Pokeballs here.
What, to store 2 Pokemon or to carry a 7th? Because it's a physical thing. Why can I not pull a 6th ball or 7th ball out of the PC and put it in my pocket, or make an extra notch on my belt, or put it under my hat, or put it somewhere where it's not near the others? If you say it's because it'll short the others out, or there's some kind of interference with them, explain then how 2 trainers with 6 Pokemon can stand next to each other. There's no physical, ever defined reason. So which is why I go with, when I look at the Pokemon world and the differences that are presented to me versus what I would assume is it's restrictive.
Pokeballs are probably league-regulated technology that was developed by the league for trainers to use mainly in battle, and people have since used them for their Pokemon regardless of whether or not they battle. But there probably is, when you capture a Pokemon, it's instantly, the data is registered to you. Like, and that's probably, that there has to be a way to prevent you from capturing an opponent's Pokemon, for example, with a Pokeball, or else people would be running that scheme all over the place.
Fair enough.
So that's probably what the Pokeball would reject it if the data was already registered, to a trainer. So again, I think that's what it boils down to, is that it's not physically impossible. I think it's a combination of technological limitations and league regulations that was maybe the arbitrary number. Not entirely arbitrary, but the number they came up with for fair battle, for whatever. And I guess you've got to think, with the daycares going on and research facilities and stuff, that it's possible to have more than 6 Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like, the breeders probably have in their possession dozens of Pokemon at one time,
Right.
So it probably does boil down to a Pokeball thing, and in the games, the people we're focusing on are people who are training to be battlers, and generally, if you're battling probably outside of league regulations, you're probably not looked at as a very trustworthy, chill, good person.
Yeah, but why is that? Say you're someone who carries 1 solid Pokemon of every type. You got 1 normal, 1 fighting, 1 steel, 1 rock, so on and so forth, and you just pick the 6 that you need for that opponent. Where is it written in the rules that you can't do that. Why
We're
was
not
it
privy
written
to the
that way?
rules. We're not privy to it. Section 14A.
I just don't think that even though we're not privy to the rules, it should be explained somewhere, like why it is that way. And it's not.
I think partially probably for the same reason that the game developers decided that you would only have 6 Pokemon, because it makes for more engaging gameplay.
I have to disagree there. I'd say the game developers did it because they don't want you running around a Pokemon Select screen with all 150 on one screen and scrolling through it, and just storage capacity on the game as a whole. But as technology has expanded, I'm surprised they haven't gone with it. Probably they're sticking with it for precedent, but look at the real world. That kind of thing doesn't hold up, especially in a competitive environment.
Okay, so there's credence to, like, maybe the Game Boy couldn't handle you having a team of 10 Pokemon, but, like, I don't necessarily think that's the case either, because you could switch something out easily, like switch out priority of what the Game Boy is paying attention to, but because it has the data for all those Pokemon and those moves and teaching them, and all those, so you can have them stored in your PC.
Right.
Why wouldn't you be able to battle with them? I think it makes for more engaging and fair gameplay, because they decided that a team of 6 would be the balanced way that they wanted to go with. That's like, that's where we're drawing the line. They had to draw the line somewhere, and it's just like, why don't they give you 3 bishops in chess? Because they think it makes a better game. Whoever created it thought it made a better game. And perhaps it's the same reason that, like, basketball teams only have so many. I don't fucking know sports, but, like,
right. So you're saying that the amount of players on the field is the basic limitation for that. But again, I say restrictive compared to how it would be were this a real thing. I get where you're coming from, and I can see that, but I feel like it should have been expanded, as it was probably played as a rock, paper, scissors type game. 6 Pokemon, it was 11 or 12 types at the time, a couple of which hadn't really been isolated down. Now they have. Now you have pure ghost types, and you have types that aren't mishmashed with others, and you have new types: steel, dark, what was that last one? Fairy. You've got all of this in here, and still you're set to 6, causing you to try to combine further and further, and essentially walk away from being able to distill out what your favorites are in the game of fair coverage. But more likely, as you touched on, breeders and possibly scientists would probably run around with 20 or 30 Pokemon, just doing the tests, the research that they would do. Why then is that 6 limit an issue? Why is it an issue to everyone? You fight scientists, you fight people who buck the law.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying there, but because the game is focusing on the type of... It's not focusing on breeders. It's not focusing on scientists like Oak that do research in a research facility that may or may not be league funded.
Just throwing that out there.
It focuses on a trainer who wants to go, champion the Elite Four and fucking compete in the league and collect badges and be a competitive Pokemon trainer. So I think it's probably not illegal. The league's probably not going to knock down your door and bust you if you have more than 6 Pokemon in your possession. Like if you have 7 pet skitties.
Yeah.
The crazy cat lady of Pallet Town. Why would she have a skitty? She'd have Meowth if she was in Pallet Town. 7 Meowth. Oh, okay. 6 Meowths and 1 skitty that thinks it's a Meowth.
And a Purugly just because.
Yeah, they're probably not going to like bust her and be like, violation of league rules. But if she was going to start using, like, they probably have a patent or whatever. They make Pokeballs. Other people don't. And like, therefore, if you want Pokeballs, if you want to buy Pokeballs and you want to use league storage system space to store the data of all the Pokemon you're going to collect, you're going to do that. You're going to use our shit. You have to follow our rules.
2 challenges to that. 1, Pokeball Factory in Kalos makes no mention of league or regulations there. They do it purely per profit. Secondly, every game, Bill, Lynette, whoever makes the storage system, does not say at any point that they're regulated by the league.
It's an automated system, though. The minute you catch a 7th Pokemon, it automatically goes back to your bags. They don't let you pull a 7th out because it would go right back to the PC.
But why?
Because that's the technology that was made. It was made for the fact that as soon as you catch that 7th, you don't have a choice. It just goes. You can't do anything about it. It just happens.
And when you say they didn't make any mention of it, like, that's obvious. That's the whole reason we're having this discussion, is because there are a lot of things that's the reason you have a question, is because there's a lot of things they don't mention or get into. So that's what the purpose of this discussion is.
Right, and that's why when someone asks me, what does the universe feel like to you, I say, restrictive. There's a lack of freedom that would be present were it real day. If, as the other person so casually mentioned, there are only 6, how does the computer terminal know that you have 6 out already? How does it know if one of them died of old age, as Alder showed us that they can actually die in canon? So what did it do? Is he restricted to only having 5 for the rest of his life because the PC has 1 that's unaccounted for?
That's tech speak now. I don't know what the computer does because I'm not a fucking engineer. I'm not a software engineer in a fictional universe.
But did he have to go to the league and say, look, he's dead, can I have it revoked so that I can have a 6th now?
Well, it could go back to the registration thing. When you catch a Pokemon, it's registered to this trainer, this ID. The balls, maybe they keep a pulse of your Pokemon. Maybe they have, they keep constant information about it. Like you said, they go into the ball with a certain amount of health. They come back out with a certain amount of health.
Yeah, this actually addresses something that, okay, I think to veer off onto a little bit of a side discussion, there's been a lot of discussion about the ethics of being a Pokemon trainer and Pokemon battling, because people are like, it's essentially dogfighting. And the way that they've addressed that in the series is that this is a partnership that Pokemon actively seek with people, that Pokemon would like to battle. Pokemon are going to do battle, and that they're able to grow and do it better when they seek out a human trainer to help them train and bring them around to battle other people. So that's how they address the ethics, that this is a different world. These aren't just animals that people are enslaving. This is something that the Pokemon actively aspire to. And I've accepted that. Does that make sense to you guys or no?
Somewhat. Along with the later generations, you get natures that say that so-and-so is...
Well, it's canon. It's not
right.
My theory. It's all canon. That's been expressed in the games.
I guess that they could be like subsets based on just a general overarching theme with Pokemon. I don't get it. If you're not out there battling other trainers, you say it's league sanctioned.
No, hold on. We're getting there. I get what your question is. So then... If that part I've come to terms with it, I'm like, okay, that makes the battling part ethical to me. But the one part that I've never been able to wrap my head around being ethical is the fact that you're turning these living creatures into data and just throwing them in a fucking PC storage. Yeah, I caught one. It's in the PC. Like, I'm never going to fucking pull that Weedle out. I just caught it. Like, that to me is fucked up. And to me, this actually brings me back to, I've never been able to reconcile that. And now I think I'm able to, with what maybe John was just saying about the regulations, and you were asking about what if a Pokemon dies, and like, what is it, just stuck in the PC now and all this? Like, they probably do monitor and regulate, and there's probably regulations that also hold that if you're going to use our PC system, you can only leave a Pokemon in the PC system for certain lapses of time, and Pokemon have to be taken out because they're living creatures. And it's maybe Pokemon for the majority have consented to this sort of cryogenic freezing, almost this digital cryogenics, because it's worth it to be able to travel the world, meet new Pokemon, train, become stronger, evolve, do what they're naturally driven to do. So they don't mind being turned into data and sleeping for a while. But the league probably has regulations to say, like, hey, you haven't withdrawn Bidoof in 6 weeks.
Ever. You
have to withdraw Bidoof now, or we're revoking your membership or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, something like that. Like, that's a regulation. Like, we have regulations like you can't fucking be cruel to animals. You have to feed your animal. Can't have a dog and not feed it, or you're going to get arrested. Like, so I think that there probably is something like that. And it's like, oh, even if you're not going to take it out to battle, you either have to now release it or trade it or bring it out and chill with it and have some fun with it. And you know what I mean? And just bring it out and have it travel with you and shit.
That's to say that, like, it's awfully vague, the whole computer system, too. To say that they come out of, like, a little slot in the computer and they go back in. What if it's like a transportation system? You put your Pokeball on a pedestal or whatever, and it teleports to somewhere. Like, I don't like to use the anime all the time for canon, but, like, the way Oak has a giant farm and all the Pokemon you get, you send there, and they just hang out. That could be like a thing. I mean, they never touch on that, but they could never well just go use the computer to say, okay, I want to withdraw this guy from wherever they go, and they're just running around in the wild, and then it gets sent to you, and you switch them out. I don't know if it's so much, hey, here's it, let me put it in the slot in the computer like a disc. I don't know if it's like that. I mean, it's vague.
That was just the anime, because in the
I understand that, but you go to think of it, it's vague when you're looking at this computer. You're just typing on it and saying, I want such and such. It doesn't say, if that's in fact what happens. They go locked up as data, or if they go somewhere else or whatever.
And when I was a kid and we would come up with our stories and kind of, play Pokemon almost, it made us uncomfortable, like me and Justin and stuff, to think of our Pokemon just being use data in a fucking computer. So we would imagine that they got sent to Professor Oak's or whoever, got sent to our house or something. So is that what you kind of prefer to think, that your Pokemon are being sent somewhere?
Yeah, and it's what I would think would happen. Also, just gave me an awesome idea for a fucking new feature in the game, if you don't mind.
If you could get real estate?
If you could have a fucking mansion with a giant Pokemon farm, why the fuck not?
See, that I think would be the problem, is there's so many trainers. And it's like, where is all the real estate for these people's Pokemon?
Right.
Like, even if the league maybe the league does have, like, places. I think, though, that they're just getting turned into data.
Yeah.
But, Phil, you don't seem to buy this idea that it's league regulations.
It's not that I don't buy it, or that I really, honestly, I'm a horrible trainer. Like,
oh, so
when you guys are talking about them being frozen as data or something, and you were mentioning that they should be taken out every now and again as a league regulation, the league is sticking their nose where it doesn't belong. That's my personal thought. Secondly,
extreme libertarian of Kanto.
I've got like
Phil for champion.
Yeah, thank you. 14 like boxes full of crap that I wonder traded on. And that's never coming out. The only thing that's ever going to happen is I'm going to wonder trade it straight from the box for something else that's going to go straight into the box. I'm never going to use it. But my original question is, I'm just going out to train Pokemon in Viridian City or Forest, wherever. I got a bunch of level 1s that just need to get up to level 5 or level 10. So why can't I grab 30 of them and go beat up wild Pokemon for 4 hours? I'm not running into any other trainers. The league has nothing to do with me because I'm not participating in their sanctioned activities.
Okay, so here's what I want to make sure I'm clear, because when you keep saying, why can't I keep saying, because that's the league's regulations. So what you're saying is, I know it's the league's regulations, but I don't fucking agree with it. Am I right or wrong? Is that what you're saying?
If it is truly a league regulation, then yes, the question I'm asking is, why is it set that way, and why has nobody said, screw you? Kurt made Pokeballs. I don't think he's league sanctioned.
But the thing is, it's like slavery, because Pokemon have been clearly stated to be on the level of people. They're not just animals, even though I think that's weird, because I think people are animals. So,
or humans are just an evolution of Pokemon.
I'm saying that they've stated in the games, like, Pokemon are more like people than they are like animals. So, if we're drawing a distinction in a line, because to me that line is like saying Pokemon are more like crack than they are like drugs. It's like, well, crack is a drug,
right? But I don't know of any evolved species. If you breed together two Blissies, no, you can't. I don't know. Anyway, two male females, two Beedrills, if you will, they produce a Weedle. Two humans don't produce.
Oh, bugs do.
Bugs do.
Yeah, bugs do. A lot of bugs do. Bugs.
Well, okay, bad example. But the point is that humans, when they breed a small human,
that is
not
relevant,
something that, not like, as evolutionists would have it say, a monkey from 2 stages back. They don't gradually come in. They are a human
yes,
from birth.
Because Pokemon evolution is basically metamorphosis. It's just mistitled as
right.
evolution.
I could follow that too, but I'm just trying to make the point there that when humans have a kid, it doesn't metamorphose, whereas when Pokemon have a kid, it can.
You could look at it as their stage of life. You have a kid, you have a baby that grows into a adolescent, that grows into an adult. You could look at it as Pokemon. They start off as a baby. When they evolve, they're an adolescent. If they have a second evolution, they're
You could go the
adult.
other road and say it's single stage evolution.
But the guy, Satoshi Tajiri, the guy who created Pokemon, the reason he did it was because he grew up capturing bugs and making them fight and stuff and collecting bugs. And that's why there's so many bug Pokemon in the game. He's clearly influenced by that with Pokemon metamorphosing and going through stages. Because, like, the way you said, like, the Beedrills, like, a baby bee is totally like a fucking pupa or something. Like, and they
right. That was
change,
just a bad example. I mean, you could take it further and look at, like, Vanillux. Okay, that was a bad example, too.
Ice cream doesn't grow.
Sorry.
I tried. I left that shit in the freezer forever. Well, again, you cryogenically... It's like leaving it in the PC. It's never going to evolve.
Right. But
you got to take it out in battle
it's
against
just
other ice cream.
My thought is, if that is actually a league regulation, the 6.
So wait, do Vanilluxes come from Miltanks? In any sort of way? Is Miltank like the Kangaskhan to Vanillux's Cubone? Or Vanilla?
I can't even touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
That's just a horrible Pokemon design in the first place. As an ice cream cone,
look at Lickitung. Lickitung was garbage.
Well, yeah, but I mean, ice cream. It's like an inanimate object that people consume on a daily basis.
Okay, Geodude. Inanimate objects.
That's true. And Voltorb's based on a Pokeball. Voltorb's fucking stupid.
Yeah, some were very dumb.
Yeah, but
I'm okay with some of them being based on inanimate objects. I don't totally disagree with an ice cream Pokemon, but yeah, the design was really dumb. There's a lot of cooler Pokemon.
They could have gone in other directions with that.
Yeah.
Whether or not it would be ice type, I don't know. I don't know if they draw the types up and then the Pokemon to match or what the case is. But my original thing is, why can't I just pull 30 out of the thing and go train in Viridian City? No league official is over my shoulder telling me I can and can't. So why can't I?
I think it has to do with just the design of the Pokeballs. I think when they're made with the thing is, if there's a seventh one, it's an automatic thing. I think when you have 7, all the Pokemon, you can carry, like you were saying, why can't I have 40 Pokeballs without any with me in it and it doesn't do anything? I think it's when you register that 7th Pokemon under your ID with you, it's like, gotta go.
The only way to do it, the only way to just capture a Pokemon without just putting in the elbow grease, maybe like they used to do in the old days, they probably went out there and fought Pokemon and like beat them into submission and got them to come with them and shit.
Burlap sack.
Yeah, right. But so unless you're going to go out and do, I guess you could go out and do that. But the thing is, back then too, I would imagine maybe people had one Pokemon in the ancient days or something that they went out and really forged a relationship with. And the league has revolutionized that. And they've allowed you to be able, I'm turning the tables on you. They've made it so that you can have 6 Pokemon because they invented Pokeballs. And they're like, now you don't have to go risk life and limb trying to befriend a Ursaring.
That's a good idea. That's a good point. On that case, then again, I still come back to restrictive, because why can I not make deregulated Pokeballs or deregulate them somehow?
Well, you can, but I guess Nintendo just hasn't tapped the storyline of black market, deep web,
not even black market,
web PC.
Well, I mean. Still, even though you're looking at Kurt, who takes apricorns and makes balls out of them, that doesn't seem to be regulated.
What's the name of the guy who created the Pirate Bay? I don't know. Do we know? I don't know. It's like you got Bill's
Pirate
PC,
guy.
And then you got Pirate Bay's PC.
I think it also has to do with the
balance.
Yeah, the balance, basically. I know what you're saying is it's why can't I just, I don't want to listen to the league. I want to do my own thing, run around. But if you take it back to where you're getting this information you get from the game, if you had a team of 10 or 12 or whatever, and you go fight the league who are restricted to 6 or whatever, obviously be like, oh, he beat him, I'll just switch into the number 37 and fucking beat him up. You
wouldn't even be able to fight the league. They wouldn't let you in.
True. Right? No, that's fine. That's great for league sanctioned battles. You can only bring 6 into this arena. But when you're not dealing with the league, when you're just by yourself with your 30 Weedles, that's a god awful example. In Viridian City, why can't you just walk into the forest with 30 of them?
Because the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make your own Pokeballs.
Okay.
Which that's not that difficult. Apparently, I hear you can do it with acorns. The second thing, though, is you're going to have to create you're going to have to build the data system out of it. Like, the guy in Johto who makes homemade Pokeballs for you, he probably has a deal with the league. Like, he's probably like, yeah, I'm going to hook
you guys are making the league out to be such a strong entity.
Well, no, because we have to. you're asking and we're trying to answer. That it makes sense because, well, who else is providing? Obviously, someone is providing free healthcare to Pokemon.
Right.
At the Pokemon centers in every town.
Right.
Someone is regulating.
It's Obama.
Someone is regulating getting in to face the Elite Four, become the sanctioned champion and stuff.
Right.
I don't think the league is like. I don't think they rule everyday life. I think maybe each town or settlement has their own government, their own mayors and stuff, and the league is concerned with Pokemon battling. And that's what they're in charge. Like, the NFL doesn't tell you whether or not you can get an abortion. Like, you know.
Well, no, but in the same sense that an NFL isn't going to sanction a bunch of grown men getting out of work after a factory and having a football game in the parking lot or the grass next to the parking lot. NFL gives no shits about that because it has nothing to do with the NFL. So why does the league give a shit if I take 30 Weedles out of the box and go into Viridian Forest?
Because
I'm not
people
bothering
are doing
anybody.
it as a career. There's
But
a
I'm not
culture
messing
of
with
it.
them.
Well, maybe there are people who do, but the thing is also what I was saying here is the data management. To use a Pokeball is to turn something into data. That's why I'm saying like this technology is probably owned by the
if
league.
that's
monopoly
what it is.
on it.
And not to say that you can't just reverse engineer it, but you know there's probably so many scientists in the world, and most of them choose because of ethical leanings
or
that they're going to go with the league regulations because they're like, look, if people are going to be able to go out into the wild and turn a wild animal into data, I do want to make sure that it's regulated. I do want to make sure that wild animal that's closer to a human being than an animal. A Tauros is supposedly closer to a human being than a bull. It's more comparable to a human than a bull, according to the Pokemon creators. So, like, that their intelligence, their culture, their feelings.
Right. I have no problem with this whole data thing. My problem is why can't I pull more than 6 out?
Because the people who've put in the work to learn how to develop software that's way more fully advanced than our own worlds have decided that it's not ethical to not go by regulations. They've decided not to do black. And I'm not saying there are none. Maybe there are Team Rocket scientists that are working on it. Maybe people do jailbreak Pokeballs. Maybe there's a black market bootleg Pokemon PC.
But let's get you off that topic for a second. What is unethical about carrying 30 Pokeballs? Let's answer that question. What is unethical about that?
What's unethical is allowing that technology to not be regulated.
Nobody said it has to be unregulated. I'm saying, why can I not take 30 Pokeballs? I get there's regulations in place. Why can I choose to ignore them if it's not bothering anybody?
If you don't want to battle?
I'm saying, if I want to take 30 Weedles into Viridian Forest and train them all up from 2 to 5.
I got a better, I think I've got a better way to frame your argument. Tell me if this is accurate.
It's not.
You're saying, how about I need a bunch of HM slaves to come with me to get through the Seafoam Islands. I'm not even trying to battle anybody. I'm just trying to fucking get to Cinnabar Island to see my dying aunt, and I can't fucking get there without getting through the Seafoam Islands, and I gotta know someone that knows Flash, someone that knows Strength, someone that knows this. Why can't I just fucking bring extra Pokemon and still bring Pokemon that can protect me from the dangerous entities there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess that's decent.
I'm pissed off now, and I want to fucking revolt to the league.
See,
because
there
that's
you go.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Although in the real world, if you can learn Fly, you can learn all its other moves too. But it's not restricted to 4. But I see what you're getting at. Same general concept. Why can I not just bring an extra 4 or 5, not to fight with, just to have, to bring me through?
You probably can, because you probably the get around to that is, well, don't use our Pokeballs. Like, don't use our Pokeballs. If you have a Pokemon that you really trust and have a relationship with, release it. And let it come along with you. You can probably release a Pokemon digitally and be like, apply to release. You know, you type it in, you're like, the league, it sends the data, and then it's like, bam, Pokemon released. And maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe if it's from the PC, there might be a release point. But, like, you can probably have your Pokeball and, like, bam, I want to release this Pokemon. And then it'll release it from your care, and you can let it go. Maybe you've got a Snorlax. You're like, bam, release your Snorlax. Bring it with you to get through the fucking cave. I don't know. I'm theorizing here. Because then that would also allow an out for, like, people to just misuse that. And for Team Rocket members to be down in the Seafoam Caves with 100 Pokemon just ready to mob you.
Yeah, that's possible. You could use an alternative means of capture, basically a whip and a chain and shackles and cages and stuff like that.
The thing is, there probably is. It's just that humanity does tend to lean towards, no, let's make society work, let's do the right thing. And so anybody who does do stuff like that, like maybe bring a couple HM slaves with them to get through Seafoam Island.
Why do you have to use the term HM slaves?
Like, they're either Team Rocket, they're in the organized crime, and it's something that society is actively fighting against.
If they're really fighting against it, they would deregister all of Team Rocket's Pokeballs and force the Pokemon to be free.
The thing is,
we steal Pokemon, not in League technology, you don't, asshole.
For when I was saying maybe Team Rocket jailbreaks Pokeballs, or maybe they're just discreet. Giovanni was the leader of the Viridian City Gym.
I'm aware of that.
And it was secret that he was the leader of Team Rocket.
It's a crime ring. You can just as easily sit down and say, I stopped this guy. In the games, they just stand still. They don't disappear.
If they had all the identities, you know, even though they're walking around in Team Rocket outfits, they show up in the Pokemon Center in Team Rocket outfits. They're like, heal my Pokemon.
That's another thing.
Sure thing. Doop, doop, doo, doo, doo.
It's another thing.
Come back again.
The healing of your Pokemon. If you were running around with unregistered Pokeballs, you wouldn't be able to get your Pokemon healed either.
Right? Yeah. The free healing. Like, most people, it's probably just because that's what happened. That's the way society works. And you probably can, Phil. It's probably possible to jailbreak Pokeballs. It's probably possible to just catch Pokemon with Pokeballs and then have them somehow get them to just be your buddies, your Poke buddies. But if you're going around and you're fucking with people's shit, they're going to put a stop.
Yeah, obviously someone's going to rain down the fire of hell and brimstone on you, which is great because I'm not trying to screw with people. I'm just saying, maybe I want to have my 10 best companions hang out with me. Or maybe I just want one extra, star, and that's all that it is. I just don't like being restricted. Even if it got lifted, I may still only run around with 3 or 5 like I do some days. But I don't like having that restriction there. And that's when someone says, when you think of Pokemon, when you think of the game, the anime, the manga, whatever it is, what comes to mind, I say restrictive because there's so much that I want to do that is, and I use air quotes here, not allowed. Why?
Well, I want to download movies for free and it's not allowed.
Sure it is.
But if you keep it into context, you don't want to go challenge the league or anything. But there are trainers everywhere in the world. They have to have a regulation so there isn't like an unfair battle where you come up against someone with a 10 Pokemon or whatever. You have to both be capped at the same limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair, but if he's only bringing 1 and I agree to only bring 1, what does it matter what the other 9
If you
are?
agree, that's the thing.
Well, there probably are people.
But there's got to be a cap.
The game doesn't focus on those
Again,
people.
if I don't worry about fighting other trainers, if I'm just trying to get through the Seafoam Islands, god damn it,
the game
I
doesn't
want
worry
HM
about
slaves.
focusing, or it just doesn't focus on those people.
But what if you run into something that's,
I think what it is that Pokeballs and the League technology of digitizing Pokemon and stuff revolutionized the ability.
If that's even what it is.
That's it. That's why Pokemon are cool with it, because it revolutionized the ability for common people all over the place to become Pokemon trainers, for people to have more than just a couple Pokemon, because now you could. And that benefits Pokemon because it's like now so many more of us are fulfilling our full potential because Pokemon want to battle and all that. It benefits people because they're like, now I can have 6 Pokemon when I only had 2 before.
I was going to think about, what about when you go get your license at the very beginning? You obviously have to sign shit to get your first Pokemon, your first Pokeball, so you can go on this journey. They probably let you know all this information. You can only have 6. You can only do this. You can only do that. And this is what your license is for.
Only if you get caught.
So you want to be Team Rocket?
No, I don't want to. I'm not saying I want to be Team Rocket. I'm just saying, look at this. Does this not look shady to you?
It looks like it's any kind of
conspiracy.
Yeah, institution. Anything with rules, regulations, anything like that that's standardized. It's got checks and balances put into place for reasons.
Who balances the league? They're the ultimate authority.
I don't know.
That's the problem.
They're not the ultimate authority, though.
Apparently they are. They have a monopoly on the Poké system. They have a monopoly on the storage system. They have a monopoly on who you can fight and how you can fight.
Is it really a monopoly when they give it to you for free, though?
I think
you applied. You had to sign all this paperwork.
Yeah,
and
but
shit.
they don't charge you to use their systems.
Yeah, they
or
do.
Their
You got to buy the
or
balls.
You have to buy the balls, but that's like anything else.
That's where the cost is split. You get the cost of the free healthcare comes from the purchasing of the balls. You can't heal anything unless you bought a ball for it.
Which towards the end of your adventure, you could buy millions and it wouldn't even affect you.
Yeah, you can afford them at the end of your adventure, but that's not the point. The point is you worked your way up there. What I'm saying is, aside from all of that, aside from fighting the league and doing this, if I just want to take my team of 6 that are strong and chuck an experience share on a Weedle and Victory Road, what the hell is the problem?
Dude,
I'm asking why, and you're telling me how.
Because there's no guaranteed final true way for humans to say this is how we should regulate ourselves. We just know that we have to in some way, if we want to get along together, that we have to in some way, and just total pure anarchy doesn't work because people will group together and be like, hey, how about we all group together to protect ourselves from this group that's an asshole? And then since we're all grouped together, we'll make rules. No stealing each other's shit, for starters, right? We're cool not stealing each other's shit. All right. It's going to happen.
Seems legit.
Bam. Anarchy's dead because a bunch of people just moved in together and agreed they wouldn't steal each other's shit. They made a rule. Like that.
But I'm not going for total anarchy.
So what I'm saying, so their rules get made is what happens.
Right.
And I think there was an ancient tradition of badass fucking people that would go out and they would brave the fucking wilds like Native American shamans and shit and fucking have these experiences with these majestic, powerful beasts known as Pokemon. And eventually, if someone proved themselves worthy, a relationship would become between a Pokemon and someone, or maybe they would get them as younglings and raise them maybe, or something, but that it would sometimes happen. And also, in some ways, maybe some of the other Pokemon lived in harmony with people in the early societies.
I'm pretty sure that's in the canon, in the books and all that stuff. All that kind of stuff really did happen.
There was an ancient tradition, and then eventually League... I'm saying the League because it makes the most sense. There is no... I don't think... There's no... The Pokemon centers might be a totally independent entity. Maybe they're just people really devoted to providing free healthcare. Mm-hmm. But I think they would have to generate some money, so I think it's coming from the League, who does clearly generate money.
Well, now you get into economics, which has a bigger hole than that one that opened up in Russia.
I think it makes sense to attribute it to the League, that Pokeballs and registering and everything, because that just seemed to be the most efficient way that someone was like, look, we've developed this technology that can change Pokemon to data, but people could really fucking abuse this, so we need to try to keep an iron fist on this so the shitheads of the world aren't just taking majestic beasts, aren't going out and finding an Articuno and fucking locking it in their fucking Pokeball, and you know what I mean, and shit like that. Like, it has to...
You mean like we all did Black and Red and Blue?
Well, they're video games.
Catch an Articuno and lock it up into a Pokeball.
They're video games. That's the implication.
That's the whole point of turning them into data.
The implication is that there's a world bigger than press A to view your map. Like...
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing...
I'm sorry.
Why is it regulated at 6?
Just balance and safety.
But so do we agree that it's... I think what we figured out is that it's just league regulations. You're just saying you think it's bullshit that they picked 6.
Well, no. My question is more, you pick 6. That's great. That's the league standard. You want to challenge any trainer with a trainer card. You want it to count for marbles. You want it to mean something. Great. But when I'm out battling wild Pokemon, why am I restricted to 6? I'm not fighting any other trainers. It has nothing to do with the league. There's nobody in the league that even knows I'm doing
because
it.
If you want
so
to
why
use
is that a problem?
Their technology for Pokemon battling, if you want to use the stuff that they are pouring money into, maintaining their digital storage system and using their Pokeballs, then you have to conform by the regulations that they've set in place in order to prevent bad people from hurting Pokemon unchecked.
So question, stepping outside of those bounds automatically makes me a bad person?
No. They have to have... Why 6? Because that's what they've... I think, like I said, for the gameplay, that's what they've determined makes the best fair battle. And okay, you're saying... that. So I think now what you're saying is like, so I can't buy a fucking basketball unless I'm going to play basketball by the rules of the NBA? You're saying I can't just, like, the only place to buy a basketball? Then I think the difference is just that, like, well, a basketball doesn't have any ethical implications. Like, it's like hunting. It's like when people get in a pissy about gun regulation because they want to hunt. It's like, I get that, but you realize that if we don't regulate guns, a lot of bad things could happen.
Right. I'm still with you on that one. But again, I'm not abusing the system. I'm not abusing the technology. I'm not even abusing the ethical argument that you're trying to spew on me. I'm actually trying to take more Pokemon, whatever, out of my box to take them with me on my journey.
For the same reason,
how is that abuse of ethics?
For the same reason that you're like, I want to be able to carry AK-47s and napalm and warheads and stuff. And they're like, that's too much.
Those are used to hurt other people. It's a completely different thing.
So are Pokemon.
You can't attack trainers directly with Pokemon.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. According to league regulations, you can.
Yeah, but if you think about
it, people can still do it though.
Yeah, but it all comes down to like a few bad eggs ruins it for everybody. Is what it comes down to.
I think the league is one of the bad eggs.
Well, I'm just saying, you got these people that do terrorism. That ruins it for everybody. They can't just let you do what you want.
That's something we haven't even discussed.
They're not even stepping in to take care of the terrorism.
But somebody might have 10 fucking Pokemon that are uber powerful, and it's like, that's not safe for the same reason we don't want just anyone walking into a theater with AK-47s and grenades and stuff. No, but that's the argument. Whether or not you agree, whether or not I think we should be able to have more weapons. That is the argument, and I
think you're drawing a bad parallel. That's honestly what I think is going on right here. I think you're trying to make the best case that you can and shut me down because you don't agree with me, and you're making wild parallels.
I thought we were trying to explore this, and I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, but you're saying carrying an extra Weedless around is the same as carrying an AK-47 just because it's outside regulations.
That was a gross... You're saying that carrying a Weedle is the same thing as carrying an AK-47. What the fuck is this? The O'Reilly effect, Phil? I didn't say that, man.
You're saying deregulate. I'm not saying to completely deregulate. That's fine in the terms of the league. But what I'm doing has nothing to do with the league. You say it's their technology. In that case, I have to go back to Smith & Wesson and say, can I have this gun? No, you can only have 6.
Because
the rest have to be in your house because we said so.
Are really difficult technology to produce. And what I was saying earlier is that the reason you can't is just because it's difficult. It's not because you can't. I don't think there's a global, like, Kanto government. And I don't mean Kanto like Kanto do this, Kanto do that.
Kanto do this.
It could also be the way, you know how when you're training your Pokemon and it's too high, you can't control it until you get that badge to, and all that stuff. What if it's the same way? You can't control 7 at one time.
Okay. What
if you can only control 6? What if you have a 7th and all hell breaks loose? What if the fucking world goes into chaos?
Lines, they're like, this is my side of the PC.
What if that's another thing? What if it doesn't happen because it can't happen? What if it's just...
Why can't?
The technology's not there. What if, even with all their advances, 6 is their limit, too. You go on the black market, you're not going to get as good as what you get with fucking, real Pokeballs. So, if you had 7, what if... they just leave.
Okay.
I think
first, the whole if your Pokemon gets too big, it stops obeying you. That's only with traded Pokemon. Secondly,
that's a gameplay device that I think is to
discourage
imply that, like, look, if your Pokemon gets super powerful and you're not a good skilled trainer, or it came from somebody else or something, you're not. If someone else was a skilled trainer and they traded you a Pokemon,
it's to discourage me testing you a level 100
Flareon. Trainer, that Pokemon's not going to listen to you because it's not going to respect you. It's not going to have that relationship with you.
Right. Yeah. But that's just to discourage people getting a level 100 Flareon and sweeping through everything that ever comes in their path.
But in the gameplay, it's
Phil, where are you going to get the Pokeballs? Is what I'm saying. If you're like, why can't I carry all these guns with me? It's like, where are you going to get the guns?
You go buy them.
But the thing is, most retail outlets are willing to comply with federal government regulations. Now we're talking about the real world and guns.
Right. But why do you make that parallel to guns? Why do you jump straight to the parallel to something that's heavily...
Because it's something that's regulated that can be used for battle.
Okay. Medications are regulated too. And just because I have 37 different kinds of medicines on me at any given time, if nobody sees them inside my coat, nobody's going to stop and arrest me.
But
and say,
I think
you can't have that.
It's totally different from guns. I do agree that it's totally different.
Okay, then I win. Woo! Hail the conquering hero.
But no, I still think that I had a good metaphor. I do think that was a good metaphor, but I also agree that it's a totally different situation. But I think the situation stands that they're like, it's what we created, what we developed. We had some of the best scientists in the world because the league had already formed. The people had formed a league at some point, because Pokemon battling is so competitive and good at everything, and it was a social, cultural institution.
They have their hierarchy, I get it.
And it happened, and eventually scientists working with the league and all the money that it generated from people supporting the league contributed to them Steve Jobsing it and creating some incredible technology way past Steve Jobsing it. And they're like, this is amazing. This is going to revolutionize Pokemon training, but it's really complex, really fucking hard to make technology. So so when I was saying the guy who makes Pokeballs, maybe he is a legit, not only a craftsman, but a fucking software programmer on an elite level, and he just isn't employed with the league, but he still believes in it, so he chooses to. And there's so few people, maybe, that's why I was saying maybe there are people in Team Rocket, or are people just wandering the woods that aren't bothering anybody, that have figured, I don't think if you did sit down and you put in the elbow grease and you developed a PC storage system, like, okay, build it. We know Bill developed the PC storage system.
Right.
And I think he worked with the league and said we should make regulations because this is Bill saying it, not me, but I feel, these are Bill's words, not me, don't quote it to me. I feel that we should have a regulation, and I trust the league, and I think I want to work with you guys on you know what I mean? And or maybe Bill was funded by the league, I don't know. But that was one individual that did it. Maybe the guy who did the Pokeballs. And if you put in the elbow grease and you didn't want to go by league regulations and you fucking started up a competing business, maybe it would fail because the league has so much more money and people just tend to agree that it's ethical for these regulations or to go with the league. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying natural progression. There's a bunch of shit in the government that I don't agree with, a bunch of shit that I do agree with, and I think that it's imperative for there to be governing factions. And I think each town has their governing factions. If you did that, I don't think the league would necessarily be coming out to get you, so long as they don't have any reason to believe that they should. If they're like, oh fuck, this guy's stockpiled fucking really powerful Pokemon and sabotaged and harassed the town. He harasses every trainer that comes through and steals their shit. They'd probably be like, hey, we should just be good citizens and go put an end to this. Not because it's our legal responsibility, but because he's fucking with people and we have the power to be like, hey, dude, stop it.
Uh-huh. And I have no problem with them stepping in when things get out of control. What I'm saying is
what it is.
30 fucking Weedles.
You probably
Let me have
could,
my 30
Phil.
fucking Weedles for my HM slaves.
Do you want to use Pokeballs or do you want to just train the Weedles by hand?
I don't know. Probably the Pokeballs for storage.
Well,
I don't want 30 poisonous bugs crawling all over me at any given time.
Well, think about it that way, too. The 30 poisonous bugs. You may not be doing anything bad, but there's a chance that you might.
Okay, fine.
That's like bring it back to real world. We can't let some third world power go unchecked. Oh no, they just got tons of nuclear weapons or whatever, but they're not doing anything. It's okay.
Again, with equating it to weapons.
Because
weapons are destruction.
They developed and are selling this technology, and they want to do so in a responsible manner, so they have to have some restrictions. And sometimes that may suck, and maybe there's a better way that we can come up with, together as citizens of Kanto.
It still doesn't change my thoughts. It feels restrictive.
I don't. Okay, it's restrictive, I think, because it's a video game. Because, look, if you put in the elbow grease to make your own Pokeballs and your own... and you digitally change Pokemon, they also might step in and be like, look, this is complex. You could kill Pokemon trying to transfer them to data.
So what gave them the right to try?
That they
did. If it's so dangerous.
That they did. Now we're talking real deep philosophy.
Yeah, but they started doing it. What gives them the right to start digitally fucking with Pokemon's DNA and codes and stats and all that? How long till they perfected it? I get that. You murdered billions of Pokemon. Maybe that's why they don't want anyone else to do it. That's great.
I don't know.
But then I point the finger at them and say, what gave you the right to start tinkering with it? God didn't come out...
That's not the question at hand, though.
No, yeah. But it should be. If they're going to sit there parading around like they have the right to control everything, well, who polices them?
I love how this is a conversation about, so what's the Pokemon universe like to you in your head? What is it like? How does it work? How's society? Still's like, I'll tell you what it's like, and I'll tell you what else. I don't like it. I've been saying this for months. They're going to limit your Pokemon down to 6. Don't deposit them in the PCs. They just going to take... Obama's going to take them.
And yet Obama didn't take shit. So let's be real here. What I'm saying is that what if I want to catch all my Pokemon and just keep them on me? Say 30. Just arbitrary number. I don't actually want 30. I don't think I can think of 30 that I actually want to have on any given time.
But are you
let's
asking
say 4 or 5 HM slaves plus my
coming.
But what if I don't want to use the PC storage?
Who are you asking? Are you asking me as Nathan,
I'm just saying why?
As Nathan Capisser, co-host of Silph Radio and Pokemon
enthusiast?
No, I was whatever a word is that means like theorist, Pokemon theorist and discussionist, or are you asking me as devil's advocate for the league? Like, I don't know what you're at. Like, do you want me to say what the league's response to that? What the public?
Well, no, I know that
I
know that you wouldn't need it. We need Game Freak to actually step in and give us a clear answer. But my thought is just why.
Their clear answer is you think too much about this guy.
It's 6.
Basically.
That's it. It's 6. Why is it 6? Because we said so.
6
Because
Pokemon,
it's a fucking game.
4 moves. That's it.
Because we can't account for you having many more. When someone asks me, I say it's restrictive. That's what my thought is. When I try to put it in a real world perspective, I'm hit with all these barriers that I don't feel would actually exist. Maybe if they were real.
Well, of course, there's a lot of things that wouldn't actually exist.
Well, no,
in this world. It takes a lot
you know what I'm saying, though.
Bringing it back to the whole weapon thing, I know how much you hate that, though. But that thing, Pokemon can be used as a weapon.
Not according to
minute,
league
though.
regulations.
And there's regulations for weapons.
We look at the Pokemon universe, and the one thing about it that makes you most say, like, that could never happen, that would never happen, is that people regulate stuff.
No, that's the first thing that comes up is, why 6? Why am I told that I can't have another one? And not even that. I understand that, yeah, you probably signed a form, whatever, when you were 12, but let's be real. Shit don't count because you're not 18.
But what if the number wasn't 6? What if it was like 12 or 13? You'd be like, why can't I have one more?
Yeah.
There's going to be a limit.
Yeah.
There has to be a limit. It just happened to be 6.
For the reasons we've been talking about for the last...
Yeah, I'm still just saying, just like, why do they feel the need to have this Iron Fist? You develop the technology, whatever. What if I don't want to use the PC system? That completely nullifies that whole argument. What if I'm doing it so that I don't have to run back to the PC when I need something?
So what you're basically saying is you don't agree with it. You understand that it's or rather not understand like our interpretation is true, but I mean, have we all three reached like a conclusion as to what the explanation for that probably is? I'm just asking.
Probably.
Okay, then so you're just saying you disagree.
Right, and there are other things in there, but when someone says, what does it mean to you, I think restrictive, and that is the leading argument that comes to mind. There are others, but...
I think living in the Pokemon world would be amazing. I think living off the land, basically, or your Poké-Dollars, whatever you want to call it.
Living off the land or Poké-Dollars.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
But, you could do either or. You could live how you want to live, basically.
Except for if you get a job at the Pokemart and you have to be there 24/7 for anybody who drops
But for
in.
a trainer,
For
a trainer is like being a pirate almost. You're free. Do what you want to do. Yeah. Yes, I mean, you got to follow the rules for if you want to be like the league champion, whatever that. Yeah. But for the most part, if you have a companion at your side that can support you, you can go do most anything you want to do with life.
And there are a lot of Pokemon that you can probably get as young Pokemon that grow to be a little more powerful that aren't like... Yeah, Pidgey, Rattata. A lot of people can probably get a Pidgey, train it to a Pidgeotto, and then get some more, you know what I mean?
Fly around the world.
Unless they suck as trainers.
There's
Unless it's your 7th Pokemon and it's stuck in the box forever.
Stuck on that.
Still stuck.
If it was real, I wouldn't have 7 Pokemon. I would have 6.
If it was real, I wouldn't have 7 Pokemon. I also wouldn't have wings or a pizza coming out of my back.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if it was real, I mean, following with the 6 limit rule or whatever, I don't think I would want to have all these Pokemon stored away wherever they go. I would want to chill out with my 6 buddies and go do what we do.
Yeah, I don't imagine the average person utilizing the Pokemon, the PC to its full extent of like catching as much Pokemon as they encourage you to in the game. I don't see the credo and mantra of like the people of Kanto and Johto and stuff as being gotta catch them all, right guys? That's the American way. Catch them all. Like, I see
America.
Most people probably do only have a few Pokemon and stuff. And it's just like when I complain about IV training and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't have time to do that.
You don't
that's
IV
how the real Pokemon
train.
world would be. You could just, train a little bit, battle sometimes, or you could devote yourself to really putting in the effort and doing all these things, and then your Pokemon would be better and you would beat everyone.
Slight correction.
So,
You don't IV train. You breed for IVs. You train for EVs.
did I say IV training?
You
Wow,
did.
yeah, you know
You
what
did.
I meant. IV breeding, EV training.
So I get what you're saying way more than a lot of people do.
I don't know if that kind of thing would really exist
and
in
you
the
can
real
breed
world
EVs,
either.
IVs.
Yes, you can breed in EVs, IVs.
And then train as EVs.
And you can train as EVs. And I've done that a lot. Because they take forever to hatch.
Breeding EVs and EV training EVs. That's what I do. Anyway, I name him a choke. But yeah, I guess that comes down to it is you can do whatever you want, and is that relationship with Pokemon. So not everybody that does strike up a relationship with Pokemon would be training. A lot of people would just be, hey, he's just my friend. We bake.
We bake. Or I work for a construction company, and my mate Choke does the heavy lifting.
Or that new one, I can't remember his name. I can't remember all the new ones' names.
Vanillux?
No.
I eat ice cream, and he makes it for me.
I'm a construction guy. My Vanillux helps me with construction. There's
me
plenty
cool.
of Pokemon that would be keeps me cool. A refreshing treat. So would it be weird if you licked your Vanillux? Or is that cool?
Would it be weird if you licked your Jinx? I see what you did there. Would it be cool?
Oh, would it be cool?
Probably be frowned upon, I would imagine.
Oh, same as licking your Jinx. Or against...
no, that's not the same, though. Jinx isn't made
Let's
of
not even
ice
talk
cream.
about Jinx.
Would you lick your dog?
But dogs aren't made of ice cream either.
Yeah, but you know that it's a living... I'm just going to stop there because I can't even
My
make a
dog
case.
knows I'm living and he licks me.
He's showing affection. Do you show affection by licking? Is that something you
But
normally
would that
do?
be taboo to show affection for your Vanillux by licking it?
I don't know. Why don't you go
If
do it
that's
in
how
a
you
public
just
square?
normally show affection, I suppose not. But if it's only towards your Vanillux, maybe.
Why? I'm not going to fucking lick my Farfetch'd.
Well, there you go. If that's not how you
not.
show
I'm not gonna
affection,
lick my
then probably wrong.
Garbodor.
Then obviously you don't lick to show affection.
I was say, then obviously you don't love your Garbodor.
True Garbodor owners lick their Garbodor.
They just hang out inside their car.
Inside their Garbodor.
What a horrible Pokemon.
I like Garbodor. I grew to like Garbodor. I didn't at first, but...
Think about like muck owners and stuff. He's supposed to be like toxic waste, right?
Right?
He is.
So is continued exposure to like a muck
or
or something like that or a Garbodor, like is that unhealthy for a trainer?
Maybe it doesn't affect humans. Maybe it's only toxic to Pokemon.
You know what? I think you're right.
I think this all smells like conspiracy bullshit.
Well, you know what? There's a
No,
lot of
no.
things that are just that's the way it is in the
That
game.
might be right. That might be right. It might not be poison to people, and that might be the same thing as far as the fire and stuff. Maybe might not be.
Well, hold on. Fire is fire. Okay.
Yeah,
When
'cause
they
do
measure,
burn
But
down
it's magical
forests.
fire.
when they measure things in degrees Fahrenheit or whatever
Yeah.
in their dex entries, it's clearly harmful to
Yeah,
humans.
and Charizards are known to cause forest fires or something, which that.
And then Ashura has to show up and lightning sharknado.
Trees aren't Pokemon, so why wouldn't fire hurt a person
Wait,
if it
there
hurts
are
trees?
ghost trees.
There are Pokemon that are like trees, but there are trees that aren't Pokemon.
All right, whatever. But point is,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think poison Pokemon can still harm people, and I think maybe prolonged exposure to a lot of poison Pokemon is bad for you.
Maybe you grow an immunity to it. Being its trainer.
Yeah, and having that because they've also established that there is some type of like connection, like legitimately scientifically, like with energy or something between trainers and their Pokemon.
okay,
That's like what allows them to Mega Evolve, right?
Yeah.
something.
Speaking
like
of
that.
Mega Evolve, what's the next step after that?
Mega Evolved. They have blue hair.
Yeah.
Mega Evolve God,
Super Mega Evolve, Mega Evolves.
Mega Digivolve. I mean,
Brianna asked on a podcast recently like if you had a Flareon, like would you really be able to cuddle with it very long, or would it be like incredibly hot? Like, would you be able to pet it without burning yourself?
He himself is not made of flames. He can exhale them.
No, but would its body be so hot? Would its fur be so hot?
What about Ponyta? People ride Ponytas, don't they? It's a horse.
Yeah, but they can.
Yeah, how does that
That's
fucking
the
work?
manga. Or no, not the manga. That's the show.
You know what I think?
And they said
It's
that
a
they
horse.
can turn it off for someone that they approve of.
That's probably, again, everyone probably doesn't ride a Ponyta. A badass that's willing to fucking master it and get burned a few times figuring it out and forming that relationship with its Ponyta. You know what I mean?
That'd be pretty cool.
Trust and control probably does.
Nobody can steal my Ponyta. I get the ass fucked up.
Like, Blackbeard burned shit underneath his beard. And not everybody can just burn, like, to make it look like fire. He had a beard of fire. Not everyone can just do that without horribly injuring themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's probably akin to that, like, really badass. You see someone riding a Rapidash or something, you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, fuck. I'm not fighting him.
It's interesting. So can you subsist off the water that, like, a Blastoise or a Vaporeon or something would
I'm sure
generate?
they could set it off that they do. I
Like
do it
if
from
you were
a Blastoise,
if you were
but
in
not
the
a Vaporeon.
yeah, you probably could if you were in the desert and you were dying of dehydration. I'm sure you could. Why
Blastoise
not?
would be like, what the fuck did you bring me out for?
You could use the Charmander's flame to cook your food. Why wouldn't you be able to?
Oh, yeah.
Be like, yeah, just give me just a glass of cool, refreshing water.
Blastoise is like, you got a cup?
Really?
He can use bubble or water gun or whatever.
Just
Water
picture a
gun.
little drizzle coming out of the cannon. You just put
The
your
cannon's
glass
like
underneath.
this big
Yeah, so-
thing.
In real life, if you think about it, you think they would only be able to learn 4 moves?
No, wait. You hold on though. That I want to come right back to that. But you guys are cool with drinking water from a Blastoise or even a Vaporeon. But I'm the weird one because I want to lick my Vanillux.
That's his actual body, okay?
That's bodily fluids coming out of that Vaporeon or Blastoise.
That they have control over.
I have control over my bodily fluids. I got to piss right now, but I'm waiting till we're done with the podcast.
I feel like it's still different. I don't think any people would agree.
Like the
that it's
Vanillux
same
is just
thing.
there. Vanillux is just there. Blastoise, Vaporeon, okay, give me some water that I can drink. They have
You know
control
what?
over what comes out.
That's probably what somebody said to the guy that was like, hey, I'm going to squeeze that cow's titties, and I'm going to make I'm going to freeze the shit that comes out of it, and I'm going to eat it. That doesn't sound so cool now, does it? You know what? Licking a Vanillux probably sounds preferable to eating real ice cream, the way I put it.
You're funny.
No,
it's not okay.
Link down in the comments if you agree.
Comments in the doobly-doo.
All right, so getting back to what I was talking about with the 4 moves thing. I mean, if it was a real life, do you think they'd only be able to learn 4?
That's a good question. What do you think, Phil?
I don't know. I think it would more fall down to what the trainer can remember. But then you're looking at breaking it off of the game and saying, do they still learn these same static 7 moves or 14 moves or however many they actually get? Do you have to keep track of that? Do they have to keep track of it? If you tell them water gun when they're level 84, or the equivalent of level 84, are they going to know what you're talking about?
I have a weird relationship with this. So, first of all, there was an interview.
So much, why don't you marry it?
Weird relationship like you have with your
Vanillux?
Vanillux. After that, I don't think any relationships sound weird coming from your mouth. There was an interview with, I think, Junichi Masuda in GamePro. Jesus, the 90s kid in me just came out. Game Informer. And he said, they asked him, they said there's a fan theory that humans are just another type of Pokemon. And what do you think of that? Which I think is a stupid question to ask, because no, of course they're not. And he was kind of like, no. Like, I feel like his attitude was like, what a stupid question. Like, he was like, first of all, humans can't learn only 4 moves. Or something. He's like, they can't learn 4 moves the way Pokemon can. Or something like that. It was in this very, like, Pokemon's a game, dude. Like, and humans are humans and Pokemon are Pokemon. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but he did say it in a way that made it sound a little like Pokemon can learn 4 moves. Like it's an elemental ability they have. That there's 4 crazy techniques that they could learn, and humans aren't able to learn those techniques. So it doesn't. Obviously, a human can bite.
I'm pretty sure I can learn how to tackle, too.
So there you could take it that the Pokemon really has the capacity to learn 4 techniques, but I think that's more of a gameplay thing. I think there are techniques, like maybe hydro pump is the name for a specific thing. Like there's names in karate for specific maneuvers, specific ways to block, specific offenses that you can do. And I think it would be the same if you were a creature that was able to generate water and shit. Maybe there's a move called hydro pump and a move called water gun, and they're slightly different because of the way they execute it and the power that's used and stuff like that, you know?
I guess that makes sense, but then you're not really dealing with intelligent Pokemon like Alakazam who can outperform supercomputers but can still only learn 4
Alakazam
moves.
is smarter than like any person. And,
yeah, I know, but they're not that smart if they can only handle 4 moves.
Can't even speak English.
But that might be their
English is a retarded language.
That might be their elemental capacity. If that is a thing, then I think it would be that they're able to devote enough elemental capacity to mastering about 4, and then the game, because it's a game, makes it 4, about 4 powerful techniques. But the thing that I think throws that off is that some of them are scratch and bite, which I think any Pokemon can do.
I was just about to be like, really? Splash? Really?
Yeah, like any Pokemon.
Strong techniques.
Any Blastoise can shoot water from its guns, whether or not you teach it scratch, bite, mean look, and lullaby. I don't know how it learned lullaby, but it was the first move that I could think of. Like, that Blastoise would still be able to shoot water from its guns, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So why wouldn't he be able to do effectively a water gun? You know, I don't know. I think that's a gameplay thing for me.
I think it's quite possibly, but if you try
Phil's
to...
like, I think it's another league fucking regulation. God damn it.
It is.
Fucking 6
Think about
Pokemon, 4 rules.
2 trainers in
4
every battle?
moves.
Fuck this. I'm out.
Why 4 moves? What? My Pokemon's got to forget bite now. He ain't gonna be able to eat. He'll die. Sleep? My Snorlax can't sleep anymore. You monster!
He's gonna lose so much weight. His body slam's not gonna hit for shit. You fucking assholes. Always sticking your goddamn nose where it doesn't belong. All in the purpose of regulation. Snorlax gets too fat. He's a biological weapon.
Except for like all Pokemon all weigh the same if they're the same species.
Right? Like there's a move named Defend, and you're like, fuck, I'm in a Pokemon battle and they're attacking me, and my Golem can't defend itself.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I guess where I'm really concerned is how would moves work in the Pokemon universe? I mean...
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
They do.
Deep, yes. Very
right?
deep thought.
Like, well, obviously, trained ones would spend, 1 week of training cut down into a short montage showing the training happening. And then he learned, yes, Pikachu has learned Thunder Wave.
So you think that it would happen with the accompaniment of music, like an upbeat, synthy, 80s sort of pop anthem, like, we're going to the test, put ourselves to the best in the fight. Did I make that up, or did I steal that from somebody?
I'm not sure. I hope you made it up.
Should get on that. Get our lawyers on that. Can we make that a song?
Yeah. But, like, what about hidden machines and technical machines? Like,
oh man, yeah, there's
these are little discs. What? You can't like exactly insert it into the Pokemon's butt.
Okay.
To like make them learn it. You like put it into a DVD player, and then you and your Pokemon watch it, and then that teaches you the move.
Okay.
So just watching a DVD of like how to do cut.
Pokemon moves and you. It's got like that kind of VHS warp to it, even though it's a DVD.
And absolutely.
Like it's like no end. This guy with a mustache and he's against a blue screen, and it's like
it's like totally like, 80s.
Hi, we're here to learn about how you're growing Pokemon. Learn how to
warble.
Do the move Earthquake. Many people don't realize that you need the Pewter City badge. He's like fumbling his lines. I think that is how TMs work. That it's just a video that you watch
a video of it. Yeah. But then like why if you watch a hidden machine video, it's like, but you can't unlearn this move. Are you sure? You want it's like instead the gatekeeper from the video game
can't unsee.
Not the video game. The board game. Remember the board game?
Are you talking about the thing Spoonie
Atmosphere.
reviewed? Yeah.
Yeah, the board game Atmosphere. The gatekeeper of that. Yeah.
Maggot, are you sure you want to learn the hidden machine? You cannot unlearn it unless you visit a move deleter.
And like, wow, there's somebody that actually makes money just being a deleter of moves. And like, okay, now how does that work?
There's so many
Oh
places.
my God.
Wow. Okay.
How does one delete a move? Is like some sort of like aromatherapy thing? Like he brings you into this separate room and he's like, now calm down. It's like hypnotherapy. It's like, you will forget how to use the move Solar Beam. And you accidentally learned it.
That would make sense. Yeah, like a hypno is there. Okay, so let's create a syllabus here. We're going to talk about what are Pokemon moves. What are they? What are Pokemon moves?
Oh, the thing's a great power and great responsibility, and you have to use it very carefully because you could take out a whole city block.
We're also going to talk about 4 moves. What's up with that?
Syllabi.
We're also going to talk about TMs and HMs.
We already did talk about TMs and HMs.
What's the deal with them? Well, we joked about TMs and HMs.
What? You can't unlearn a cut move? He's a cutter.
We're going to talk about the move deleter. And that is an occupation
The
that
fact
people
that
have.
that's a thing.
And what else is there to talk? We're going to talk about Pokemon battling. That I guess will tie in with what are Pokemon moves like. How does Pokemon battling really work? What's going on there?
Well, it's like basically having an RC toy, only you speak to a living thing. It's like battle bots, but with real creatures.
Yes, for our listeners not familiar with the concept of Pokemon.
That's how battling works.
And is there anything else that's pertinent that I'm sure we may touch upon some things, but anything else we want to put on the syllabus before we jump in and have a rigid, structured debate? And I want to make sure it's not fun. We don't want to have fun. This has to be.
I already am not having fun. You're like syllabi, and I'm like, what's up with that?
Syllabi.
Oh, don't. And you're just like over here. Now, first, before we get started, purchase this textbook from me. And flip to page 239.
$35, and I do expect that textbook back at the end of this session.
That's actually kind of cheap for a textbook.
All right, so let's start there. What are Pokemon moves?
So do you think that it's just like it's supposed to be just for fighting in everyday life in case, a tree gets in your way or a rock blocks your path? Then.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the general idea is that Pokemon are wild creatures. They're closer to people than they are animals. That much has to be.
And you teach them by training them things, but that's, yeah.
And they have a trainer relationship with the people. They like to be trained because in order to fulfill their their full potential, they have to work alongside people.
Yes, so we are Siegfried and Pikachu is the tiger.
At the same time, no, I think it's beyond that, though. It's a partnership. At the same time, though, there is this sense
Turner
that,
and Hooch.
For example, you can't leave your starter town without a Pokemon, because if you go out into the tall grass and into the route in the wild, even the route that connects villages, you're not going to be safe if you don't have a Pokemon to protect you from the wild Pokemon, which will try to attack you. So clearly these are creatures.
If you just stay out of the tall grass, well, then you can like run up to somebody that's a trainer walking around, and they're like, hey, I looked you in the eye, let's battle. And you're like, I don't have any fucking Pokemon. How do you expect that to happen? He's like, then you owe me money. I win by default.
No, that's just the subset of Pokemon battling, the Pokemon battling community.
But if you don't have Pokemon, can you just like avoid people's eye contact, stay out of the tall grass?
Okay, do you think in the Pokemon universe that is an actual... Okay, when we're playing Pokemon, we're like, fuck, I need to get to the next city without someone challenging me. Do you think in the Pokemon universe that is a constant strain on your character too? Like, fuck, if I don't get to Viridian, dude, come on, please don't be a dick right now. And he's like, no, we've met eyes. Dude, I nodded to be polite.
I only have 3 potions left.
Come on, man. I really, my Pikachu's going to die. Please.
I don't want to use my last revive.
Do you think there's that threat of, like, no, I'm going to fucking Pokemon battle with you so hard that you're going to black out due to the connection with you and your Pokemon. And your Pokemon's ass is getting whooped so hard. Or do you think people are like, oh, you don't want to battle? No, I'm cool with that.
Whoa. You just made me think. So then after they whoop you so hard that you black out because of your connection to your Pokemon, do they then bring you to the Pokemon Center?
I think it's more of a thing like a code of being like a Pokemon trainer is like part of the point of that is to go out and LARP. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're almost LARPing in a
like,
sense.
hey guy, that's not funny. Wake up.
Like if you see another Pokemon trainer, it's like, oh, we got to battle. Like that's kind of part of, I think, the point of the sport. So it's almost like saying, well, why would you go out on the rugby field and then complain about getting hurt? You know, like by going out with a team of 6 Pokemon and establishing yourself as a Pokemon trainer and a Pokemon battler.
So who brings you to the Pokemon Center?
You do. Well, oh yeah.
You're blacked out and you wake up in the Pokemon Center. And now you are short $394.
Because there's that
God
code.
damn it, he got robbed too.
Yeah, they weren't a bad person that he battled with. They just recognized that, like, look, this is the way you owe me that money from losing the battle. But I'm not going to be a dick. Clearly, I beat your Pokemon's ass so hard that the link you have as trainer in Pokemon, you blacked out. I'm going to at least, put you on my Rapidash's back and bring you to the Pokemon Center.
That's awfully nice. Wouldn't you? Would have appreciated it if you had a Latias there to fly me.
Wouldn't we all, Craig? Wouldn't we all?
Right.
So now when you battle Pokemon, because we're talking about this, there is a very real threat here, right? Like this sport isn't just for anybody. Like these Pokemon and even trainers are running the risk of injury, are they not?
I don't know. They of course are because they're too close to moves like Fire Blast.
So do you think there's like
and Psy Wave?
There's like a Mick Foley of Pokemon training who's like Pokemon just get the shit beat out of him and he like just like he's literally like having like brain damage because he's blacking out. And, like,
I think at that point, like his Pokemon, Pokemon just abandon him.
The doctors are ever like, look, you got to stop Pokemon training. Like you're really putting your body at risk. You're too old for this.
What? No, me and my Bellsprout can happen. I don't know why he won't evolve though. He just keeps holding the Everstone. Why won't you evolve? Become a Victory Bell?
But there's a real risk of, okay, a Scyther. How does a Scyther attack? It's got
very carefully
blades. Very careful. Like, does that mean that if I battle with a Scyther, my Pokemon is going to get slashed up?
Fury swipes, motherfucker.
But, yeah.
5 times.
That is how a Scyther...
Yeah, like, they scratch you to fuck.
A Charizard sears you with flames. Like, is my Pikachu's fur and flesh being seared and burnt?
Yeah, I mean, like, your Charizard could know Dragon Rage, and who wants to be around that?
But, like, so... I've had this kind of idea that it has a little bit to do with like this energy that makes them Pokemon, which also is how they breed. They don't have like physical sex. You know what I mean?
Oh, really? They just kind of like energy next to each other?
Something like that. And they create an egg because different types of Pokemon can breed with each other. Like it's really weird. Like
I'm trying to picture who would lay the egg.
The female.
The female one.
Yeah. But, it's
clearly because they're not seahorses. Do you think like the male Kingdra is the one that breeds the egg?
Oh, I see what you did there. Maybe.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if they made that a gameplay.
That would be
aspect.
really cool.
So maybe there's this idea of like these moves are some elemental power they're tapping into, and it's not just like a biological creature that's able to biologically produce flame. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Maybe that is an aspect, because I like to think that Charizard has like flame sacs or gas bladders or something that like has a rational explanation for its ability to produce fire, but also maybe that there's like some special energy it being a Pokemon.
That like kind of blocks it from causing catastrophe to everybody.
Yeah, and so that it maybe that when Pokemon battle, they're able to, you're not always, if you're going, but at the same time, there is a risk. We can't forget that this is kind of like wrestling. Like maybe it is scripted and stuff, but these people
I don't think Pokemon's scripted.
But they're but I'm saying like in wrestling, but they're still putting their body at risk. And like maybe this is like, well, Pokemon training's not for the, like those Pokemon are going to get fucked up. Like that Pikachu's going to get sliced up by a Scyther at some
That's
point.
why those bug catchers ain't ever going to leave Route 1.
And healing, I think like the Pokemon Center, the healing is because you convert your Pokemon to data when you put them in the Pokeball or the PC, and they're able to just repair the data.
Oh, okay. So the PC, yeah, and that would explain maybe the technical machines and hidden machines.
Exactly.
You pop the data into the PC. I mean, maybe this is behind the scenes data into the PC for the Pokemon, and then you pop in the disc, and it transfers the knowledge into the Pokemon's brain.
Yeah, I think you have to think of it's a TM or an HM. It's a technical machine or a hidden machine.
Or a VHS tape.
But I mean, it's a machine. It's not just a disc. So I think it's a machine that utilizes a disc, sort of like a hard drive or something maybe. And perhaps it has some type of Wi-Fi connection that it can make with the Pokeball. And therefore transmit the data sort of like Neo and like teach a new technique.
Right, but what happens to the disc? Oh, you hold on to it.
And then it breaks. Well, now you can use them more than once. You didn't used to be able to.
Right.
So they've perfected the technology. Maybe it used to break after one use. And
I'm not liking the way... Like, I liked it better when, it was like, trainers, this is how you learn this move. Tell them to do this move. Pokemon, this is how you learn to do this move.
I think it's a combination. I think you're still out in the field, like training, like how to fight, how to have reaction and defense, and like the basics of like maneuvering and agility and dodging and all that. And any Pokemon knows how to bite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you forget the move bite, it's not like your Pokemon can't eat anymore. Like a Doduo knows how to bite, whether or not it knows the move bite. It knows how to peck, whether or not it knows the move peck. But
it can't do it in combat, so that's just not fair.
Perhaps there are certain techniques, sort of like in Kung Fu, where it's like you use your body in this manner to do this with your beak, and we've called that technique peck. And this is how you do it. And you practice,
yes.
You practice the
Hidden
move
peck
and
technique.
the technique and the maneuver. And sometimes maybe it involves a certain type of energy and a certain manipulation of that energy, like whirlwind or flamethrower.
And in the end, the joke's on you for spending the time to learn the technique peck. So why do you think maybe when they're battling, they do have a 4-move limit? So you think maybe they continue to keep and know all these moves, but they're only allowed to use these moves?
4-move limit. Is that just a gameplay thing?
I believe.
Or is it?
Well, no, I believe it would at least be an in-battle thing where, like, to try to keep it fair, the government will say, your Pokemon can only use 4 moves.
4 moves.
In battle. You got to decide what moves they are before the battle. Maybe the Pokemon don't forget the moves, as they replace them with new moves. They still know moves. They just can only use these 4 moves in battle.
Maybe those are like...
But outside, they could still use the other moves.
Cataloged techniques, ways of using energy or moves or maneuvers or your body that are like, these are cataloged as Pokemon moves. And you have to announce which 4 of those moves your Pokemon is going to use in battle. So it's more of like just the sport, like the rules of the sport thing.
Right.
Like it's not that a person is only able to play defense. It's that's what their role in the team is, and that's what they learn to do, and they practice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
just like you can only carry 6 Pokemon with you.
Yes, we discussed that a lot too.
Well, maybe that's like a government thing, like to try to maintain order.
I think you're really going to enjoy. You're very much on the same page with what me, Phil, and John came to terms with.
You say it's kind of mean to just keep all your Pokemon as data in like a computer, but if you carry 20 Pokeballs with you with all these Pokemon, and first off, you are not Batman. You don't have the space on your utility belt to bring all these balls. Where are you going to put them? 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 I'm sorry, I got in a little trance there. What you're going to... And also, there's still just data, but in a ball that you can release at some time. Do you think, like, if Phil was in the real Pokemon world and he had all his Pokemon with him, he would just, like, have all of them out with him, wandering, adventuring with him at the same time? Would you do that, or would you only keep one out? Or would you keep them all protected in their balls?
I would probably want to keep my Pokemon out for most of the time. Like I would want to interact with them and
which, by the way,
free and...
I would like for the newer games that they released to continue to let a Pokemon trail you in the party,
like they did in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Yes, that was something we've wanted from the start since Pokemon Yellow when Pikachu
they're just like, no,
you
just get a taste of Heart Gold, Soul Silver. That's it. You see, that's it.
To be fair, they got rid of it to make way for some really innovative gameplay stuff. So I'm okay with it, but I would like them to kind of focus on maybe bringing it back.
What's bullshit is some other people in the region are allowed to walk around with their Pokemon in tow. Why can't I? Why can't I, huh? Is it because I wear red? Is it because I spark Bull hate.
Do you think Red ever got trouble, like when he was walking through, like, so he was journeying, he was on his way from Vermilion City to Cerulean City, but of course he had to pass through a shady area of South Central LA, and and he was wearing red.
He's like,
red,
oh shit, this is Crip neighborhood.
Now that of course brings us to the age-old question: is blue a Crip?
If red's a blood, then yeah.
Are red and blue, is this an analogy for the
Gang
is
warfare.
Pokemon just an analogy for the gang disputes in
I don't
South
know.
Central LA through the late 80s and early 90s?
You do combat a bunch of gangs throughout each game. So, Team Plasma, Team Rocket, Team Magma, Team I Hate People, Team Pokemon.
So the four moves
Team
thing,
Edward.
I like that you're saying this might even just be a rule of the sport. Like you have to
totally
announce and register what four moves that Pokemon will or
That's the only way you
using in
can
that.
enter each tournament.
And the Pokemon are still allowed to bite, dodge, defend. You know what I mean? They're still allowed to have a battle.
Right.
Scyther's still allowed to slash with its things if it doesn't know the move slash, but there's a specific move called slash. That is a specific way it uses its body and the energy of a bug Pokemon, or whatever.
Well, I
don't
like
know.
to think it's like, you get a turn to attack me, and you try to defend.
So
And
you
then-
think they're actually, in real time, one-on-one, taking turns?
Yep, your turn.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No?
I don't. I think
You
they're
think
having
it's a little more intense than that?
Yeah.
But what's weird is at the end of each battle, you could back out, go back over to the judges' table, and be like, okay, I actually, while fighting, I thought up this new move. We learned this new move in my Pokemon. I'm going to change out my move.
I mean, maybe it's not like everybody with a hockey stick or a basketball plays the same game. Sometimes you play horse. Like,
I don't know what
I mean?
you're getting at.
Sometimes you play one-on-one. I don't know. Like, maybe sometimes it's like, okay,
Sometimes you just play shootout.
Sometimes they're like, let's have a Pokemon battle, but we're just going to go casual rules where it's I go, you go, I go, you go.
Yeah.
We're going to go take turns rules. And you just take turns doing your techniques, and it's kind of like an actual Game Boy battle, but in real life. And you're like, fuck, now what do I do? Do I do this? And it's almost like with those restrictions, like you can choose to use an item or an attack. Like you're playing a card game, but with a biological entity. But then
Right.
sometimes you're like, no, let's go all out. Pokemon battle, my Pokemon versus your Pokemon, and those Pokemon fight, and maybe you're shouting out like Rocky's coach,
Hey,
like
remember
left
to do
hook,
this, yeah.
come on, hit him with the flamethrower, and maybe there's different because there's
Yeah, so like, because they're like, you're like, oh shit, fuck, they're using Hyper Beam. Use protect. That's why I
Totally.
made you learn that.
But then maybe there still is that subsect of just friends being like, yeah, let's just have a simple battle, one-on-one, just I go, you go, I go, you go.
It's called Final Fantasy rules.
And then that's where like potions come into play and shit. And you're
Right,
like,
in Phoenix
well, I'm going
Downs.
to give him a potion. Because you can't imagine in an intense battle that you're going to run out there and give your Rattata a potion. You know what I mean?
But you can do it in game.
Yeah, but I'm saying maybe that's in those I go, you go games where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to use my turn to give him a potion. And the opponent lets you give it a potion. Whereas in these more intense battles where you're
What
just
would
like,
happen? The wild
Pokemon on
Gyarados would come over and just kick out the potion from your hand.
a wild
Like,
Gyarados isn't going to let you take that turn. So those battles against wild Pokemon obviously can't be turn. Although Pokemon are intelligent, they could recognize that code in sport. Maybe some wild Pokemon do.
I could just picture Eradicate like biting at him, then going, "Now you." After you, Seth. I'm all about contest. I love a ribbing good match. I detest that you think I'm of lower form. That is a ratatata.
I would love the Pokemon that's like, you're like, Chansey, use heal. And it's like, I know. I am. Give me a second.
Get off my back. You're not my dad.
Don't talk to me like I'm a child. I know I'm going to use heal.
God, why
you're
am
like-
I with this trainer again?
Like, look, Chansey, we're in a Pokemon battle. Like, you have to understand that I'm going to shout out. It's not an attack on you. You can't get so defensive.
And
I'm not getting defensive. Chansey, you legitimately just use the move defend. Like, you, right now, as you're talking to me, are using substitute. Stop using substitute and just look at me, Chansey.
But I don't want to fight people. I just want to help
Chansey,
with a helping hand.
Put away the substitute doll. I want just me and Chansey, one-on-one here. When we're in a battle type scenario, I'm going to be shouting out techniques to you. It's coaching. It's not. It's part of that trainer Pokemon dynamic.
I don't like it when you yell at me.
I'm not putting myself above. I'm yelling because it's a loud.
Can you try it?
It's a loud environment, Chansey.
But you're still yelling at me, and I don't like it. Like what did I do wrong?
Chansey, the yelling. First of all,
Why can't you just accept me for me? I
It's
wanted
not-
to intern with Nurse Joy.
okay. Chansey, and right now I'm not mad at you. I'm sort of mad.
you are.
I'm not. I'm mad at the situation. Okay,
You're a
It's
horrible
not,
father.
I'm not mad at you. I'm mad. Yes, you can tell him. I'm mad at the situation. It's not you.
You just won't stop yelling at
You
me.
have to understand, like, Chansey.
Okay, I'm sorry that got real a little bit. I almost started to actually cry.
We're in the middle of a Pokemon battle, okay? And this is not the time for, like, legitimately, like, okay?
Give me $20 and we'll call it even. Oh my god, I was like trying to get in the character and act. I like almost started crying for Chansey.
Now, the hole in this theory is that we said we were going to talk about the move deleter. And now, if the move deleter really is a thing, then that would
Which
mean...
he is, clearly.
That would mean that this idea that you can just learn whatever and you can learn all these moves, but you're only by sport rules of a certain type of match, you know, the general match, you're only allowed to use 4. That contradicts. Why would you have to forget a move then to learn a new one? Because Pokemon are supposed to be as smart as people, and people don't generally. So maybe it's a biological limit of the way to use this energy? I don't know.
Possibly. I like to think of it as they're just calling it forgetting it. Like that's just because that's only specifically with HMs. So that's the only one you need to go to a move deleter to get rid of.
Oh, maybe an HM is different from a TM. Maybe a TM.
Because clearly it's different by a bunch of letters. Whole bunch of letters. H to T. Come on,
it's
man.
ridiculous, though. I mean, the HM for Silph is like that this Pokemon...
Pretty awesome.
You know what? It has to be because it gives you the ability to ride on your Pokemon's back in the water, which you should already be able to do. So maybe it has
Right?
something...
I mean, Ash has done it.
Maybe, I mean, you should be able to... If you have a Lapras, why wouldn't you be able to just sit on its shell? So maybe you can. But if your Lapras knows Surf, that Lapras could be zooming around the water, diving underwater, coming back up, and you're going to be on its back because of the connection between you as trainer and Pokemon. And it's learned this technique that is specifically... I don't know, something like that, you know, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. You just kind of soured Pokemon for me a little bit.
Why?
You reminded me of Free Willy.
Thinking too much about it. Oh. I don't know. That's very interesting. I was going to say a moment ago about
because in order to go underwater with it, though, you need to learn dive.
That's right. They made dive a thing. I don't know. I don't know.
That's kind of weird. Maybe why don't they just have a hacksaw as a key item instead of using cut to get through a tree? Why don't you get the axe pick instead of learning rock smash?
And again, a lot of this might just be, well, it was a game, and those are gameplay techniques used in lieu of, you know, it's just like in a book, you're going to use colorful language to convey an idea.
I mean, for the same reason that, like, the only reason you can't go down this section is because some construction workers said you can't.
I have a level 90 Gyarados. What do you mean I can't?
Are you going to tell me it can't go anywhere? What? Tell me where it can and can't go?
We have a wooden
I
caution
level grind. You know
sign.
how many Weedles I killed to become level 90? All Weedles.
Killed. Not fainted.
Concussed.
So then when you defeat
Knocked
a Pokemon in the wild, sure, it faints. But if it's not going to get converted to data, brought to a Pokemon Center, converted to data,
Stays
and
fainted.
healed, is it just going to die? If you send
Eventually,
your
yeah.
Scyther, a Steelix, you send a Steelix out to fight it, and it uses Tackle and smushes this Weedle into the ground. Is that Weedle dead?
Yeah, dead.
Yeah, dead. Yeah, that's the word, dead.
I mean, it can't exactly get itself to a Poke Center. You're not going to bring it there because, fuck, you got a mission to do. I mean, I'm sorry. I was running through the wild grass. You attacked me, okay? It's not my fault. I was not provoked. Or I was provoked. You were the provoker.
So the this idea, though, the move deleter, that you would have to delete a move, is that there is a person that lives there known as the move deleter, so it has to be canon.
Right.
And I like your idea that it's hypnotized, that it's almost like a hypno maybe is there, and he's like, you were forgetting this move.
I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking that the person was just a hypnotist.
Oh, the person, okay.
But yeah, that'd be awesome, because obviously that would be his Pokemon, would be a hypno.
A hypno, and that they're
You know
literally...
how long it took him to catch that? So long.
Now, why can't you trade a Pokemon with an HM? So maybe HM moves are invented. Maybe, like, okay, a TM is like Neo learning Kung Fu. It's like techniques and ways to use the energy that is taught to the Pokemon digitally and implanted in its mind. And
HM are plot devices.
HMs are invented. It's technology. It's like utilizing that energy in a technological sense and creating a move that's like, bam, now you can ride on your Pokemon's back in the water and never fall off.
Yeah, using the new Apple Watch. It's all technology, man. Like, we're just all living in this wonderful universe, man.
Like maybe assigned to your trainer ID, and so you can't trade them with those moves. Like, I don't know.
Wait, you can't trade a Pokemon that has an HM?
Well, you have to prove yourself, and you can't trade a Pokemon that knows HM moves.
I didn't know that, but then again, I don't do much trading other than wonder trading.
That's the whole point of Move Deleter, is to lose the HM moves.
I thought the whole point of Move Deleter was to get rid of Cut because it's a piece of shit move at a certain point in the game.
Well, yeah, Cut and stuff like that, and you can't trade it.
Oh, okay. This is the thing of me not being, a first-gen gamer.
That always irritated me because I put so much energy. I expended so much energy into finding a surfing Pikachu and a flying Pikachu with my Pokewalker for Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Okay. And I found them, but I can never trade them unless I erase Surf or Fly. And then I can't reteach it to them because Pikachus don't naturally learn that move.
Well, why would you trade them?
Because now it's just stuck on Soul Silver. I can never trade it up to the more recent version.
Oh, you mean trade it to your own?
To myself, yeah, to keep it, like, on the newer games.
Is that, like, a big thing? Do a lot of people do that, trade to themselves?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
trade up, trade their whole cast to keep... Because I've never done it. I've only had one 3DS, and I now have a DS, but that means I can only do it with, like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver or Pokemon Black.
Well, if you've been playing all these games, you've got Pokemon that you trained years ago that, of course, you want to have as an option to put in your team. You know what I mean?
Right, but now, is it because you're never going to play them on that specific game again?
To an extent, yeah, sometimes. Eventually the game's outdated and it's like, well...
It's like, well, I'd just rather play X.
Yeah, if I've already finished the meta game or the after game or whatever, not the meta game, you know what I mean, the
Delta episode.
Stuff like that, yeah. If I've already finished the game 100%, people aren't using it to battle or trade anymore. I might as well trade all my collection up. And then there will be certain ones that are just left there, like Surfing Pikachu and Flying Pikachu. So I haven't actually...
I really thought you were just going to say, like, that one Vanillite.
I haven't traded all of my Pokemon off of any game. So any given game that I have, there are still a few important Pokemon that are left on there that I never traded up, like my... Leaf Green version, for example. I traded up a lot of my main guys, but there's still a few of them left there just in case I want to play that version some more because I can't send them back.
Right. You can't trade down?
Not to a Game Boy Advance game.
Huh. But I could trade back and forth between Omega and X and Y.
Most of the DS games you can. I'm pretty sure maybe not all of them, but most of them I think, unless they know certain moves maybe. A lot of times you can't trade down because new moves and types and stuff have been introduced, like fairy types introduced. You can't trade a fairy type backwards. And,
true. You can't just that would break the game.
And that's in the second generation, Gold and Silver, you could trade backwards so long as they didn't know any new moves.
And then,
and they weren't.
They were just Pokemon. Like, you know what? You guys took way too much advantage of this gift we gave to you. We're taking it away. Well, you can't trade back. No trade backs.
For example, there isn't data for the new Pokemon in the old games, So, making it so that you can trade back, but there's limits because you can't trade back something there's no data for in the old game.
Right.
Is a whole... Because,
like I said, it'd just be broken.
And then the system for how their stats work was changed, so it's... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that brings our conversation to a close. But the conversation's always open in the secret room. There's 2 totally different shows you can listen to. Well, they're not totally different. They're somewhat similar to this show and very similar to each other, but still very different from each other. There's 2 totally different shows that you can listen to, and there's a variety of ways to get in touch with us and keep the conversation going. So right now, I'm going to talk about those things. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our listener Rebecca for getting in touch with us on the Facebook page, letting us know how much she likes the podcast, and dropping us a few episode requests to boot. We're going to be working on those if you're listening, which I'm sure you are. Don't worry, they may take a little while because we've got a few things queued ahead of them, but funnily enough, the episodes you requested, we were already considering doing a few just like it, so guaranteed it's happening. This could be you, fellow listener. If you have any ideas of something that you would like to hear us discuss on this podcast, please drop us a line. As you saw last week, even Gotham City wasn't off limits. So really, the sky is the limit. Your imagination is the limit. And even if you don't have any episode ideas, hit us up on that Facebook just to let us know you like the podcast. May not seem like a big deal to you, but it keeps the podcast going for us. It warms our hearts and lets us know that we're not doing this for nothing. So never hurts. Feel free to shoot us a private message in the inbox if you don't want to post on the wall. That's totally cool too. You can find us on Facebook, Silph Radio Podcast. But I thought I heard you say something about 2 other podcasts. You sort of dropped that a little bit at the beginning, and you dropped that a little bit now. What are these other podcasts you speak of? That's what you may be asking me. And if not, well, I'm going to tell you anyway. Me and Craig Lewis have been doing Fairpoint Podcast for a few years now. It's a weekly podcast. There have been a couple hiatuses here and there, not going to lie. But for the most part, we've been pretty consistently weekly. There's 98 episodes up, and right now we're currently hard at work on our 100th. Well, I'm sorry, there's 99 episodes up. We're up to episode 98. The 100th episode is episode 99 because we did an episode 0. It's a little confusing, but we're hard at work on putting together a couple spectaculars for episodes 99 and episodes 100. And we've been saying that for a while, but they're coming. They're going to be there before you know it. We're busting ass. We want to get them out before October because we do a special thing on Fairpoint called Scarepoint, where all October long we pick a theme for our Halloween month for spooky stuff. The first year we did 80s icons. The first year we didn't have a Scarepoint because we were on hiatus. First year of Fairpoint, we did 80s icons. Second year of Scarepoint. I'm sorry, I just butchered that last sentence. You know what I'm trying to say. Second year of Scarepoint, we did Monster Cruise. That was really cool. We looked at a few different monster groups, the Addams Family, the Gremlins, the Monster Squad, stuff like that. We talk about so much more stuff there. History, pop culture, science, comic books, movies, all sorts of stuff. Please go check it out. And if you like that, you can also scoot on over to our brand new side project. Just started about a month or 2 ago. Started in July, I think. That one's called Fair Enough Podcast. You know, sometimes I might sit down with someone else, or Craig might sit down with someone else, and our co-host isn't there with us. And when that happens, it's not fair point, but it's fair enough. Or maybe me and Craig see a movie, but we don't feel like doing research and putting together a whole Fairpoint episode. We just want to sit down and talk about the movie. That's fair enough. We've done all sorts of cool episodes this year. We did one on Inside Out. We did one on Jurassic World. We did one on... we didn't do one on the Avengers, did we? Well, we did one on Mad Max. I mean... And it's not just movies. We've had author Marquise Wolford on there twice, once to discuss professional wrestling, once to discuss comic books, and the politics of both. We've also had Silph Radio regular Jeremy Davis on there repeatedly. I don't know why I didn't lead in with that one. We had an episode where he discussed mushrooms, like actual fungus. It's one of his passions, mycology, the study of fungus. And he also discussed dwarves, another one of his passions. You know, the mythical creatures, not like actual dwarves or little people, preferred term, but dwarves, you know, from fucking mythology and Tolkien and shit. And we also did one on the afterlife recently, which was a lot of fun. This week on Fair Enough, we're concluding Batman block, which crossed over into the Silph World last week with the Gotham City episode. The final topic of our string of Batman-themed episodes is Justice League: Gods and Monsters, the new DC animated movie. Craig liked it, I didn't like it, and we sit down and have a great conversation about that movie. Now, there's something there for everybody. We don't just review the movies, we also make jokes, we get deep, we pick it apart, and we veer off into unrelated discussion. Well, I think that's all the steam I got in me right now. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you listening as always. We hope that you'll join us again next week. Don't forget to get in touch with us. And don't forget to enjoy your week. You only get to enjoy this week once. From the Secret Room, I'm Nathan K. I'll talk to you guys next time.